Okay, Tin, you've come up with another subject for us to talk about today. What's that?
Ooh, all about which is best time, the right time or money.
And that's really come up because we've had a lot of comments on the last few videos from viewers asking us when's the right time to retire. We don't know. But there are two major things that are the things to think about. Do you have enough time to retire? Or do you have enough money to retire? So those are the two factors in the equation. And we appreciate that our American viewers have different challenges to us in Canada or our viewers in the UK because we have universal healthcare, so we don't need to budget for healthcare in retirement or healthcare in the years running up to retirement if we choose to take early retirement. So anyway, got a new t-shirt, Tim.
Oh, I really like it, Norm. I guess that will give you a big rush.
Finally found a Canadian rock band t-shirt.
It looks great.
We're proud to wear that. And Rush was a great Canadian band. Or is.
Yes, that's true.
So when's the right time to retire, Tim? That's the burning question that our viewers want to know.
Well, we kind of thought that maybe we would go back a few steps and kind of tell everybody how it was for us.
Right.
For those of you who aren't fully aware, Norm and I took early retirement over 7 years ago, and we were 58 and 60 at the time, weren't we?
We were.
And it is a big decision knowing when it is the right time. But we had decided we wanted to retire. We had some friends that were a little older and they were getting health issues. So we decided we were going to bite the bullet, didn't we?
We did indeed. So we've had our last set of friends when we were living in Ottawa. We were the younger ones, so we was getting a sneak peek of what 10 or 15 years down the road might look like. And it was amazing that our friends in their early 70s to mid 70s were starting to experience health issues that impacted their ability to travel. And we'd raised a family since we were in our early 20s, and we couldn't afford to travel. But we always had the wish to travel, didn't we, Tim?
Yes, we did.
So that was a motivator for us to retire early. I'd already given up my job at 55 because I'd become disillusioned with it. I loved my job, but until I got to around 55, it just had lost all its fun. And I was fortunate that I was in photography as a hobby, and I was able to make that into a full-time income for myself, working from home. So.
And that basically allowed us to make the decision to be able to retire. We looked at the income that Norm was bringing in. Now, we did realize that obviously I was working full-time at the time. So we realized that if we made this decision, we would lose one full-time income. But we sat down and we worked out a budget, didn't we, with what we were going to get from your income.
We did. We're very good at researching, and both Tina and I have been in sales all our life, not shop sales. We worked for international companies as sales representatives, sales managers, sales directors. And so we've taught people how to sell at a high level. And it revolves around preparation and research and knowing your customer, knowing your product, matching the features and benefits. And we're very good at doing that. So when it came to our personal budgets, we researched what rents were. We had no clue what rents were until we met that guy who came to our house one time, and he told us what his story was. And he was 10 years ahead of us too, that he had sold his house and gone into an apartment. The more that we looked at it and read articles, like in Money Sense magazine in Canada, the Globe and Mail investing section. Accountants, when they just do the number crunches, can quite easily show you that renting is more cost effective than home ownership. Anyway, we set a budget that we felt was realistic, and we were able to make those numbers work.
Because we did also have to bear in mind, didn't we, Norm, that we knew it would be 5 years and 7 years before we actually started to draw the old age pension in Canada.
That's a good
or
point,
if you're in the US, it would be Social Security. So we knew we had to bridge that gap financially. We had to be able to afford that before the pensions kicked in.
Right.
And that's what, as Norm said, doing that budget and having his income coming in allowed us to do that. And from my point of view, it released me from a very stressful job. And I really appreciate the fact that we were able to do that, because I didn't realize it at the time. And that is maybe something that all of you should realize, that perhaps you are in a stressful job, and if you can find a way to stop it, really look at that.
Two things we really want to reassure you about is Tina didn't know she was in a stressful job until about 6 months after giving up working. And suddenly realizing the health benefits that she was experiencing. The other thing is that we'll be quite honest, we were quite apprehensive of retiring. Fearful, possibly, because it was an unknown. How would we be able to afford to live? So, yes, we were fearful of retirement. A year into retirement, we wondered why we were fearful prior to it. So we're just trying to reassure you that it's not as bad as your own mind will make it out to you.
I think, would you also agree, Norm, that perhaps that fear that we had became taken over by the excitement of moving into a new chapter of our life, which was retirement? So the fear was there, but once the plan got into place and we sold the house and moved, the excitement of something new, I would say, took over, wouldn't you think?
Now let's address the healthcare question in the US. And we are not experts at this, and we only have a very basic knowledge of it. But common sense would say to us that if you want to retire early and you're in your early 50s at the moment, then set up a savings program that you will be able to draw on in those 5 or 6 years of early retirement that will pay the healthcare premiums for you. The other thing is we moved to a cheaper town, partly because family was here and partly because it was a smaller town, so it was more manageable and less stressful to live in than a big city. So we do know that in the US, different states have different Medicare programs and healthcare programs for people on low incomes. So perhaps if you are going to retire early, you may well end up being in a low income because you're leaving behind your source of income, or you might be working part-time.
And we do know, Norm, that from some of the comments that our viewers have been putting, is that there are states that people have moved to where things are a lot lower in healthcare, taxes and everything, and it's really helped people improve their financial situation. So maybe it's a big thing. Just consider moving to a different place.
And the other thing, Tina, is that, and we've done this with various insurances, is that we do have some capital so that we increase the deductible. And if you're healthy and that you are in good health, then why don't you raise the deductible on your healthcare insurance to reduce the payments so that your cash flow is less than what it would be otherwise. And if you're healthy, the chances are, if you haven't made claims on your healthcare for a few years, then you've probably got a few years in front of you where you won't do that also.
I think that's a great idea, Norm.
It is. So, Do you want to retire early and you don't have any money, or you don't want to retire early and you got lots of money? It's the equation. We're saying, and we want to reiterate this from our experience, and it's our experience only, is that from the age to 60 to 65, those were the glory years of our retirement. We had no difference in our strength, ability, muscle mass, health, energy, vitality. Wonderful retirement years. Click 65, the odd thing starts happening. You know, I had the basal cell on the end of my nose removed. That was basically a 66-year-old present. So we can see ourselves starting to get weaker, but we're still going to be traveling and enjoying ourselves into our 70s. We can see that. Use those years, if you can, of 55 to 60, 65. They're fantastic years for you.
Absolutely, aren't they? And we've got amazing memories from all those trips, haven't we?
We do indeed. So take plenty of photographs.
Yeah, and videos, so you've got those to look back on.
So anyway, we hope that everybody is keeping well.
And staying safe.
And until the next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.